Okay. So thank you, Bob, for joining me in the interview today. So it's good to have you here, and we want to hear more about you. Many of our members um, don't know much about the leaders in the other countries as such. So I think this is a good opportunity for people to know who you are and why you have joined the federation and what are your vision and dreams and plans for the members of the federation. So thank you for joining me today. I would
Thanks, sir, for giving me the opportunity.
thank you, thank you. I would like to start by asking you. So I know why you have joined the federation. So this is not a question for me as such, but it is a question for our members to also understand. What are some of the reasons for you to choose to serve this federation?
So first of all, thank you everyone for being part of this conversation. My reasons for being part. So I want to thank Pradeep Shrestha for actually bringing me into the federation. And when he was talking about what this federation is all about, and when he was explaining this to me, it sounded a very exciting opportunity. We've seen that there are a lot of business or social groups around, like be it your Lions Club and round table and things like that, which have a certain agenda with which they work, but then IFISC is something which is just specifically designed, and it encourages small and medium businesses to interact with each other in a common platform. So that was very exciting. So I mean, this one, there was no hidden agenda and there was no ulterior motive for the federation, except for that people be able to help each other out, grow businesses, working with each other. So that was the major attraction. And I'm very, very happy to see that over the last 6 months that we've been part of this thing, that has just kept growing. The community has kept growing, more people joining and business opportunities being floated around, and people being able to take part in that opportunity and grow their businesses. I mean, it's very exciting.
Thank you. Yes, it is. And as you rightly said, um, when we started, we only had one or two members from Nepal, but the community is growing over there as well. And now we have a separate WhatsApp group, big enough members that we created a separate WhatsApp group as well, and it is definitely growing. So thanks for the good work that you and Pradeep are doing in uh, making this community bigger in Nepal. Also, would like to know a little bit from your side. I'm sure people would like to know a little bit about you, like your background, what work, what's your interest, and a little bit about Bob. So, who is Bob?
Okay, fair enough. So my name is Babak Podar. Everybody calls me Bob, and so that's like the kind of nickname that I've had since my school days. Um, I did my bachelor's in information management, and then finished my master's also in the same subject. So my area of expertise is how to manage information in the technology world, in any businesses in this day and age. So there's a lot of information coming in. How do you gather that information? How do you manage it? How do you actually make decisions based on those information? That's kind of my area of expertise in terms of my education and what I've been doing. Besides that, in Kathmandu, I have a software company called Himalayan Techies. Been part of this company for the last 7 years. I've also started an online shopping site, which was basically an experimentation on again how customers respond and react to online businesses. So that's kind of like part of my experiment to see how people are interacting with it and how do they the purchasing behavior, the spending capacity and all of that stuff. So it's kind of getting into that kind of information and analyzing that. I have a manufacturing unit in Butwal, which is about 250 kilometers south of here.
Right.
Southwest, for FRP, fiberglass reinforced plastic products.
Right.
Building, that's basically that's kind of the family business which is being handed over from my father to me.
Right.
The software and the online shopping site were my own ventures, undertakings.
Right. Okay. Okay. And what do you like to do in your spare time? How do you entertain yourself? What are your hobbies, or what do you like doing apart from work?
Apart from work, not into traveling, so I make it a point that at least once a year, for 10 to 15 days, I travel to a new destination.
Right.
The reason for traveling is actually to learn a lot about people, about culture, about differences in opinion when you're traveling. You can get to meet a lot of different people, which
Okay.
you would not normally do in your business day-to-day life. I mean, they're your customers, your suppliers, people that you interact with. Like, for example, I mean, even if IFISC group, this is like there's a total different agenda. But when you're traveling, you just get to know people, you get to know cultures. So that's my like I love that. I like reading books, read a lot of books
Right.
in my spare time.
Okay. Wonderful.
That's how I usually spend my off days and weekends and
Okay. Wonderful.
spare time.
Nice. Good to know, and I'm sure that we will know more about you as we interact more with you. Um, so my first question to you today is about helping others. So we all have the intention of helping people, and many people believe that in order to help someone, you need money, you need power. What do you believe? What do you think is needed to help someone? Because federation is all about, as you mentioned, your attraction towards federation was it was about helping others. There was no hidden agenda. So what are your beliefs around helping people?
I think my basic idea about helping others and being part of, I mean, being part of a community, I think the biggest help that somebody can give somebody else to one person can give to another person is just about being there. So like the federation, like when I have a question, when I go to the federation and I post the question, there are always different opinions that come from the federation, there are different ideas that come up from the federation. So that basically either validates your idea or takes it further. And that's a big support. Even in my personal life, like regularly, like even between me and Pradeep, whenever I have a question. So mostly it's not about money or his position as his position or his power, but more like I can go and bounce that idea off him. I can go and talk to him and say that Pradeep, like, see, I have this idea. What do you think about it? And for a business to grow and for a person to be able to like do well in their professional life, that's a very big advantage to have. When I started my software company, I started off individually. I just was working on it alone, and I found that I mean there was no lack of money or resources or things like that. But just to be able to somebody to tell me or validate my idea that okay, what I'm doing today is correct, and I'm on the right path, that becomes a very huge advantage. So we brought in more partners into the business. So just that more people, more ideas, so you can grow more.
Okay.
And
So what
Federation
you're
has actually provided that platform. I mean, I see people posting requirements about things that they want to sell or things they
Yes.
want to buy.
Yes.
So even if like there are very few people who reply back, but just having that one or two reply also is a huge deal for that person for whom the business opportunity is huge.
Okay, yes, and this is a good point that you have raised, because last week when we were talking to Abhijit Shinde, who's also regional director in Maharashtra, he mentioned something very similar but in a different way, that one of the things that he often sees people not doing in the federation groups, whether it's WhatsApp or Facebook or LinkedIn, is asking for help, is asking for the right kind of help. And he's also saying the same thing around the fact that um, if you ask, you'll get a lot of input, because there's people with various different backgrounds, expertise, skills, and their intention is always to help, but they don't know who needs help unless someone will ask for it.
Exactly.
So it is the intention is more important as compared to we don't have to always think of someone has to be someone in order to help us. Quite a number of people get very much into the area that but what are your credentials? Why what who are you to help? So those kind of that kind of approach but what we are saying is that the intention for someone to help is good, and people in the Federation group are always intending to help provided we ask for it.
Yes.
Nice, nice. That's a good message, and I hope that people who are listening to this recording will make notes of this thing that um, give people chance to help you. So ask for it. Ask for what you are after. So don't just keep posting your offers and your brochures and all those things. Ask for meaningful support. Ask for meaningful Bob is saying that he's got help from validating his idea, what he's thinking, brainstorming. So there is people with lot of depth, knowledge, and expertise who are part of the federation who can help you lot more as just buying your products and services. Now, another question I have is in terms of the micro, small, medium entrepreneurs community within Nepal, what are some of the challenges that you are aware of that people may have come and talked to you about, or you have heard in various other networking events over there? What are some of the challenges that you are aware of that currently people in Nepal or entrepreneurs in Nepal are facing today?
I don't know if Ravi is on call today or not. I think it was his
He is.
question from last week.
It was his question in another way as well. Yes, he was asking about that as well. So yes, so think your answer will also address his question from last week as well. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I'll try
am
my
here.
best to answer that, Ravi. So for Nepal that I've seen when talking to people around in business community here. One of them is always that comes down to is the political situation, this the environment for doing business, for example, like electricity, lack of electricity, infrastructure, and things like that. And then there's the idea about the market size. Being a very, very small country with only 2.5 million population, it's a very small, sorry, 25 million population is a very small country. So and we have one of the lowest per capita income in the world. So when you're thinking of putting in a business, you're looking at all of these challenges. At the same time, you're also looking at like how to grow your business. But these are all external factors that I see. But there are other challenges also, like interacting with people in colleges, or students coming out of just graduating from colleges and interacting from them, and they want to get into the market and start building their own businesses. There are internal challenges also. So one of the things that's really lacking or challenging here is, so when you're going in through your college degree or college life, you have these professors who are taking classes who do not have the professional experience. So these are not people who are running businesses or who have done or started business or entrepreneurs, but these are professors who have just done academic work who are teaching you. So when you come to the real world, like how do you do human resource management? How do you do marketing management? How do you do sales target, like sales management? All of these. So for small businesses in Nepal, this is not happening. So they're not looking at, so even like for my dad's business, I mean, he's been running this business for almost 30 years now. And when I started looking into the FRP business, I started looking at and saw that, I mean, there wasn't any clear way of doing pricing. So how are you pricing your product? So it's basically, this is what my cost of raw material is, plus this is how much I spend making it. So, and I want a 15% margin. That's my price of the product. Now, is that fair assessment or not? Have you gone back and done the R&D on it or not? That, okay, like, yes, I'm selling it at this price. can I go lower? Can I go higher? At what price point should I be like? Should I like where are my price points to see if the market uptake is more? Sometimes, I mean, it's contradictory, but sometimes raising the price of a product actually helps you sell it more.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because when you raise the price, because then it gets the premium category and people start thinking that, oh, it's a premium product and they start buying more of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes lowering the price is the right way. So these kind of analysis, these are things that are very, very lacking in new businesses coming up in Nepal. So people are not really looking at that. The businesses are still running in a very traditional way. And I mean, how do you develop HR policies? How do you retain people? I mean, there's always the gripe about, oh, employees are not committed towards the company. They just want to find a better opportunity and leave.
That's a very common complaint even in Indian entrepreneurial community as well, not just in Nepal. I think it's a very common thing within the small and medium-sized business is to retain staff.
Yeah, but then it's not always about money. So have you looked at like why are they leaving? I mean, is there a genuine reason for them to find another
Yes.
job?
Yes. It's not
Maybe
always
the
about
distance is
money.
more like you are located in, right? I mean, so are they getting the right opportunities? And another problem that I see with family-run businesses in India and Nepal is about delegating duties. I mean, we are so scared to delegate that we tend to hold all the power and all the decision making at that higher level.
Once
you
again,
lose on
a very,
opportunities.
very
You can't
common small
grow
and
with
medium-sized business issue. It's quite common. So I'm just only saying it's common doesn't mean that we have to live with it, but you're highlighting a very widespread issue, a very big issue that maybe many people are living with it just because they think that all the other people I
they have to
know
live
are
with it.
also living with it. So it's the way to do it. So it's a big problem which can be solved, but not many people even know that they can solve it.
So yeah, I mean, and my point is basically, I mean, these are things that can be fixed
Yes, definitely. Yes, that's true. Yes.
with a little bit effort and a little bit of knowledge. It can easily be fixed. I mean, it's not a very, very it's not the end of the world. And while we are complaining about the external factor, about the environment and everything, these are things that are happening within businesses that businesses themselves can fix.
Yes.
So they should be looking at that, like how do we fix this issue? How do we increase employment retention? What are the
Yes.
things that we need to provide to our customers so they become loyal to us?
Yes. So the first step towards that one is to acknowledge that you don't have to live with these problems. These problems can be fixed, and maybe start approaching someone to get guidance, and maybe Federation Group is the first one. So ask for that kind of help. Ask for that kind of guidance that if you are facing those challenges in your business, is there anyone out there who can help you fix them?
Yeah, exactly. And there are so many people in Federation that I see who have grown out of like 20, 30 people company into hundreds of people company and who've been able to retain their workforce.
Yes.
And they can be a great resource of how they solved it at their time.
Absolutely, absolutely. That and unless we ask, they don't know who else is facing this problem. And I'm sure that a lot of members will be very happy to guide someone, mentor someone around these. But it's a matter of asking. Yeah, true.
And I'll just give you a very simple example. Like at my office, some of the things that we have done just to change things around. I mean, we are a software company, so I mean, they kind of the employees expect some kind of perks, right? So like we have a coffee machine in our office. We have like free availability of coffee, tea, every kind of varieties of tea and coffee and everything. They can just come make it and have it, and that makes a huge difference for them. Just to, like yeah, I mean, the company is doing so much for us.
Hmm, 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 hmm.
Parties in a year. I mean, we do one outing We definitely do one outing every year where we go out of the office, we take the weekend, we go somewhere, and you'll be surprised to know that people are ready to chip in.
So you're
The
talking
employees
about
are ready to chip
this is
in,
what you are doing
and
in terms of employee retention. Is that what you're talking about right now?
in terms of employee retention.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
And like a lot of times when you talk about like, oh, we have to take them out for a party or you want to take them out for a weekend, they have this concept of the company has to pay for it. You'll be surprised if you talk to your employees, they would be more than happy to chip in. So if you're
Mm,
putting in like 50%, they'll be happy to put in 50%.
right.
Or you put in 70%, they'll be happy to put in 30%. So just by doing that and you're reducing your cost,
Yep.
you actually getting the employees to be more productive and more happy and engaged with you and wanting to be with that company.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is
Celebrating
just one
birthdays.
example that you are giving, and there could be lot many that many people are doing as well. So the point is that this is a solvable problem. It doesn't, you don't need to continue to suffer with that problem. Don't have to
Exactly.
continue to
And if
say
you're like
that.
in the manufacturing industry,
Yes.
I mean, very simple thing. So I'll just give another example. Very simple thing that you can do if you're in a manufacturing industry. You have like 20, 30, 40 employees. Every month, just do like a birthday day. When in like any employee in your organization who has a birthday in that month, you get a big cake, you put it on a table, and everybody just cuts it and shares it.
Mm, mm.
It could cost you what, 3,000 rupees,
Yeah.
maybe 4,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just they're just delighted because I mean they acknowledge that you're acknowledging them being there and you're acknowledging their birthday. That's a big deal for them.
It is. It improves the bonding between the team as well. Because not,
Yeah,
how else would you know
im-
it was someone's birthday if you're not celebrating? That person is sitting there and it's their big day and nobody even knows. Nobody is even wishing them. So how would that person feel sitting there? Now that's a good point, and I think these small things can make a big difference. So it doesn't have to be you have to spend a lot of money in order to increase your employee retention. It is about
the gesture.
acknowledging it's an intention. It's an intention. If you want to do it, you can do it at a very low budget and by talking to people what's important to them and giving them that. Doesn't have to be always about spending a lot of money on these things. Hmm. So you've, in a way, you've actually answered the next question I was going to ask you, that how can we address these challenges? But I think in our talk we talked about the challenges and how to address them at the same time as well. Um, but I would also like to know, while we are at this point, is what role do you see federation playing in this? So this is how the employer themselves can think about it, or is there anything from federation side that we could do?
So I think in the federation, I mean, if we can identify these key areas where SMEs are facing problem, and as a collective force, we come up with solutions for that and share it along with the federation. For example, my these two examples could be like part of it. Like, okay, there are other, like as you rightly mentioned, I mean, there are hundreds of different ways we can do it, and at every budget point you can do it.
Hmm, 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 hmm. So you think
Simply like raffle out two movie tickets every week to
yes.
employees.
So this is
And big
something which
corporations, like they do these best employee of the month and give them some kind of an incentive if you're best employee,
yes.
like a premium parking space. So I mean, if the federation can come up with together, we can come up with these different ideas and post them somewhere so people can share it with each other. That
Yes,
would create
so
a.
that's what,
I mean, I
okay.
think that would help
Yep,
the
yep.
existing members and the new members coming in as well.
So
That
you
yes, I
you
mean, I'm
think
facing this problem and here's the solution.
you think if we maybe organize some sort of um, live face-to-face events or sessions around this, like a meeting where people can come and network with each other as well, and also share these experiences. Would that be something that people would be interested in?
I'm sure they would be. I mean, that's a great idea, sir, and I think we should do that. But my reservation with these kind of events, the only reservation I have is when it happens, and then it finishes off. People go their own ways, and they tend to forget a lot of things that have happened within these interactions. A lot of things do not come up in these. But if we can have a running roster where we keep adding more and more information down the line about all of these different things, and basically just like creating kind of case studies with different companies. So if each member can share a case study of they had a challenge like this, or in one area they had a challenge and how they mitigated it, and
That's
kind of create that book
actually,
on case
I'm
studies.
quite interested in this topic because I think you've brought up a very engaging topic for the members as well. So maybe I'll take an action item on this one on myself, and what I'll do is I'll start a discussion thread in LinkedIn on this one. So let's start topic on this, and let's start to have people chipping in their ideas and what they are doing and how they are engaging their employees at their workplace. All these ideas. Let's take an immediate action in terms of starting a discussion thread, and then over time we can plan for some face-to-face meetups as well, so that way people can make some more meaningful relationships as well. Is once you connect with someone and you have a one-on-one meeting with someone, then you can also meet with them and get coaching, guidance, mentoring from them outside of that meeting as well. So it will help them to take it forward from there. But we can start something on LinkedIn and start a discussion thread on this topic.
I think we should start a thread on multiple topics. So one is this HR retention is there. Another is market opportunities and growth. I mean, one of the biggest buzzword is these days is social media marketing. Like I have people come up to me and say like, we want to do a social media marketing because it's the buzzword. And when I talk to them about like, do you really understand what this means? I mean, does your product really need it? Do you really have a market where people are going to like? I had an agarbatti company come to me and say that they wanted to have a social media marketing plan for them.
Hmm.
And then I like simply asked them like, do you have customer loyalty? Is there a brand loyalty for you? And they said, no, we don't have any brand loyalty. People buy what they get the first in the market.
Right.
So can you generate that kind of brand loyalty? Like, what is your intention out of doing the social media marketing? And they really don't have that idea or clue. So
Right.
so I think there are like multiple topics that we should start discussions on. Marketing,
That
sales,
that is a
finance,
I think that is a good point.
and I think
One,
so. I think HR is just one part of it, but there are like all of these others also, and I think we should have these in parallel. Like this
yeah,
would
we
be
can, we
have
can.
I think would be, and people have different experiences in different categories,
The
in
the
different topics.
the point that you have brought, which I particularly liked here, is that there are many people or many companies out there who talk about SEO and social media and all these things. So they are promoting the businesses to go down this track and all that. So a lot of people are already doing it. But the point that you are bringing, which not many people are talking about, is that doing an evaluation step beforehand to say, do you even understand why you need to do or not need to do it? So maybe not many people even understand why they should do it, or is their business appropriate for that kind of thing? Is their product appropriate for that kind of thing? Or is it just that people are shouting at them and telling them they should do it, and now they are getting pressurized to do it? So they don't even have the right kind of information to make that decision if they should do it or not do it. So a thread on just that topic itself, it could be very valuable for people.
Yes, like and so no, not sticking just to social media, but just about like marketing. So when talking about marketing and sales, first thing I mean, this is something that Pradeep keeps bringing up with me is like there's a difference between marketing and sales. Bob, you need
Yes,
to understand marketing is different and sales is different. Don't ever club them together in the same sentence.
definitely.
He's a guy from marketing, and I say like, yeah, I mean, isn't it the same thing? It's like no. So people just don't understand these kind of things that there are like so many different things that, and they need to understand all of these nuances of. So like you have to understand the nuances of sales. You have to understand the nuances of marketing.
Yeah, yep, definitely. Well, that's good. That's very good. I'll just open it up for anyone, any questions if they would like to ask at this stage. So you have to unmute from your side and please go ahead and ask any questions if you like.
Hello,
Hello, Ravi.
Ravi again.
Yes.
Uh, First of all, I'd like to say it was a very, very, very good conversation that you guys had today. It answered a lot of questions that I'd prepared, that I'd asked today. So thank you, Bob, or I would say Bob Thai because you're also my senior in college.
All right.
Uh, Uh, I think a lot of things that you had presented today is a problem because even I run a family business. It's a small manufacturing unit. The retention of employees, the motivation to the employees, the marketing tactics that you talked about, the problems in marketing of certain products. Okay, my question, one question here that I felt that I should ask was that there are products in the market. Just like you said, there is that Agarbatti brand that you talked about. There are products in the market as well, like my product, which is thread.
Yeah.
Okay, a sewing thread is not something that you would be going on television and say, "Hey, this is a sewing thread," and "Aapki pasand ho tab kai pahchan" and stuff. There are certain other ways in which you market such products. So I would like to ask that how would you market such a product, because it does not have brand loyalty into it. A tailor is not going to the shop and he's going to say that this is what I want. So,
Very, very valid question.
so this is what I want to ask, that how do you promote such kind of product into the market?
Yeah. So Ravi, something that we need to understand, like
There's some
a very
disturbance
big
coming. Is it? I'm just going to mute my side. Bob, can you?
So not very big into marketing, but what I can, my experience with this has been, so there is a difference between brand loyalty and brand knowledge, brand awareness, sorry, brand awareness and brand loyalty. So when you're talking about, like, when you look at a lot of these Hindi channels, you will see that they're promoting Dollar Banyan and there's Rupa and all of these. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the last time, I bought a vest because I was loyal to a particular company. I don't remember that. I just go and buy the first thing that's available, of the first thing that I see on the shelf, I buy. Still, these companies want to advertise because of to create that awareness. So even for something as basic as a thread, are people actually aware of the brand or not? So that's the first question you need to ask. If they're not aware of the brand itself, then they're not going to go and ask for, like, okay, can you show me a thread from this company? They might not be loyal to it. They might buy some other company as well, but they just need to be aware of it. So we should always distinguish between brand awareness and brand loyalty.
I think
Make sure that your brand is, people
I
are.
think Pradeep has something to say on this topic as well.
Yeah, okay. I have something to say. Can you hear me?
We can hear you a
Hello?
little bit.
Yeah, we can all hear you, Pradeep.
Yeah,
Go on.
we can hear you, but
Okay.
bit
So
weak.
basically, for
Yes, now
like, hello.
Yes, it's good.
Yeah, go on, Pradeep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, for there is an advertisement for all segment, right? So you can do advertisement on your segment also. So basically, you need to, first of all, you need to find out your segment, right? On which segment you are and on which segment you want to advertise first, and then you have to find out the target market of that segment. Inside that segment, there is a target market. So you need to find which is your target market, and after identifying that target market, you have to position it. So you have to find your own customers. I mean, which will be the target market, and how to promote your product in that target market. So first of all, you need to find the segments, right?
Uh,
And
uh,
then on that part, you can do your social media marketing too. So find that segment, hit that target, and do marketing on that segment only.
uh,
So that it will be a very 100% for you. It will give you a very good outcome. So
okay,
first,
okay. Can I add something on to this?
yes,
Yes, yes, Ravi.
Yeah.
please.
Okay. Okay. What I joined this business some 4 to 5 years ago from today, and the kind of promotions, I would not say it was a marketing tactic, but I'd say it was a certain kind of a promotion. What we did was that we could not go into the newspapers and to the television or the radio or the voting boards because that
Uh,
would not hit our target market, as you
yeah,
said.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we came up with was, I would like to share because there are other participants with certain products as well.
Mhm.
So I would like to share my experience on this.
Yes, that
That
would be really good.
what we did was that we went to our shops, the wholesalers who are buying from our manufacturing unit. We went to those shops and we tried to observe what the customer is doing when he's buying the product, the consumer buying behavior that is used as a technical term. Mm, they were looking at shade cards, which has around 300 to 400 colors, and they match their fabric with the color of the thread onto that, and there is a color code on them. And when they do that, they get the certain color shade that we're looking for the fabric. So what we did was that why not go and print those color cards for them? We went and we distributed free color cards, branding them with our company logo and everything, and giving them our color number. So once we gave our color number to the customer and the trading parties, the consumer and the buyer, the seller and the buyer, they're dealing with my color code number. So when they are dealing with my color code number, it is difficult for them to look for the same shade in the other company color code, because now if they are going to ask, supposedly they're using color 1, 2, 3 from my shade card, my color card. So then what they are doing is they're going to ask for 1, 2, 3 in every shop, because they know that this is the color I'm going to buy the next time. So they remember that. So when they do that, the seller is bound to keep my color or my shade card, because all the companies are more or less the same quality. They are bound to keep my shade card or my thread on the shelf, because the customer is asking for my color number, right?
Yeah.
This is one thing that we did. The other thing that we did is we helped the customer identify the specifications, because most of the consumers here in Nepal, and I presume that it is in India as well, they're uneducated. So now you not going to go into details about specifications, that this is 50 by 2 or this is 40 by 2 or this is 20 by 2. If you have certain product which has technical specification, I suggest that don't go with the technical specification going to explain the customer that, oh, you're going to buy this, so this is the specification for it. For what the car market does. These days, if you have noticed that car markets have also evolved, because not every buyer knows about the engine and everything. They are now telling them that this is comfortable, this is faster, this is better. In that way, they're explaining to the customer. So what we did was we branded the products, rebranded the products, and from one brand we created 5 to 7 brands according to the technical specifications. Now the uneducated buyer that is there, the tailor that is there, knows that I'm going to buy Apsara for my type of cloth that I'm stitching, or the person who is stitching jeans knows that I'm going to buy Zune out of Zune, because that is the product with specifications for my fabric. So this is another type of tactic that we followed. And the other thing is we're printing calendars, brochures,
That is
which
a
we are
detailed
pasting on.
activities.
Yes, that is a BTL activity. You correctly pointed out. So we're doing these kind of things instead of going into social media marketing, where the uneducated customer, first of all, does not know how to read. how he's going to go to the social media and look at my promotion thing. You know, more or less, I think that
Basically,
there are
you
certain
are a
markets that are.
wholesaler or a manufacturer.
I am a manufacturer.
Okay, so your customer might be a wholesaler, right? Bulk, who purchase in bulk, right?
No, but I'm
So
not
first of all,
Yeah, I mean,
targeting the wholesaler, right? This is the problem that comes in. When I started, I'm sorry I interrupted. When I started, this is what I faced, that I was thinking that the customer is the wholesaler. No, the customer is not the wholesaler. We have to know that the customer is the end buying consumer. If you are
definitely,
convincing
definitely.
him to buy it, then the wholesaler has to keep your product on the shelf, no matter what margin he's getting or not, because that is what the customer is demanding. So I think that we should, rather than targeting the wholesaler, we should start targeting the end consumer. Make him
Customer
believe
driven
in
market.
your
So you
product.
want to create a customer driven market, right?
Uh, no, I think the customer.
Ravi, just let me just interject there and first of all, let me congratulate you. I mean, like you've done it very, very brilliantly. I really can't think of a better way of going about what you've done with your brand and how you run the marketing, like creating different brands for different categories. So that is for people who are not, I wouldn't have said uneducated, but unaware. For them
Unaware,
it becomes really
exactly.
easy.
Hmm.
So that way you've just positioned yourself so correctly in the market that if I want this quality, this is the brand that I need. As simple as that. So if I want a
Yes,
little bit harder
exactly.
taste, I go for Coke. If I want a softer taste, I go for Pepsi. Right? So very, very simple. So you
Yeah, yeah.
basically made it into, I'd say like this is an art that you have done right now. Like, I mean, this is brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. And
Uh,
it's very hard to educate customers also. So you have done a brilliant work, like educating and creating awareness in between customers. So it's very really good.
no, I mean, this is,
Even
I
what
mean,
what
and
And
Sachin,
besides, I think for any product, you need to have some brandings and branding options also. And also another one is the SMEs, all SMEs are facing for supply chain management. So we have to be very focused on supply chain management also, I think.
yeah,
I would also like to add one more thing to this. One more thing that we did is, what problem we were facing was that most of our customers, they were not, they could not read and write as well, because
yeah,
in a field like mine, the consumer need not be, knowing how to read and write. He is all about his skill. So when he is going to come to your place, you cannot, say that it is a problem. Now this person does not know how to read and write and go angry about it. What we did was that the 6 brands that we created, we also differentiated them in terms of color.
yeah,
So what we did was, the inner core, the plastic core, change the colors for each type of specification. For example, a 55 by 2 specification, for example, would have a green color on it. A 40 by 2 would have a black color plastic core on it inside, and and so on. A 20 by 2 would have a blue, because the jeans is blue color. So the specification for stitching jeans thread wood has an inner core of blue. So you can instantly identify that what I'm buying is exactly for what kind of fabric that I'm using to stitch it with. So we further went on and did that as well for people who don't even understand scripts. So that was again what made our products go into remote areas of Nepal, because there this problem is more prone, because people are not going to schools. They have been trained by NGOs to run stitching machines and stuff. So these people now, when they come to the shop to buy, they don't understand what they are supposed to buy, because there are hundreds of variety of specifications available on the shelf on the shop, and the shopkeeper does not have time to explain each and every one what he needs. So you cannot expect your wholesaler to go and market your product for you. So it's for you to reach the customer, even by staying way far away from where the customer is buying your product. So this is something that we added on later on. So I would like to. It's not a question, obviously, but I would like to suggest people that we could come up with such innovative ideas. With it does not cost you anything. The inner core plastic is going to cost you the same. So it's innovation from where you are sitting. You are trying to understand the customer from someone in Rupande's problem in Kathmandu.
Yeah, I mean, so you've basically like, you've done your analysis, you found where the problem was, you found what your customers are, you found what they were looking for, you strategized accordingly, you created your strategies, you implemented them, and I'm sure you've refined them over the last 4 and 5 years that you've been doing it. You have refined the systems, so make sure that you're not sticking with your with your hard work. You're making sure that you improve on it on a day-by-day basis, because I'm sure your competitors are doing the same thing. They're following what you're doing.
Yes, exactly. I've even seen that people who are importing thread from China have started doing the same thing, and I was very astonished because they're asking for the
I was talking to a
Chinese
person, like he has a glue industry. He manufactures glue, and one of the strategies that they have used is that again, I mean, it's another one of the market where brand loyalty is kind of low, and the people using the glues are basically these carpenters and again unaware, uneducated people. So what they do is they have identified their key wholesalers or key sellers, and they make sure that the sellers' shelves are always stocked with their product, no matter what. Like there shouldn't be a competitor's product in that entire shop at any given point of time.
That's very good idea, but I would like to add something on to that. See, this is where you generally this is a very good idea, but from what my perspective is that that would not work for people like me because there are 400 colors available on the shade card. Now
No,
the
Ravi,
shopkeeper.
so that's what we talked about earlier also. Like, I mean, these are like you can have multiple solutions. You just now need to think of, okay, this is one solution. Now, how can I make this work for my business? And this is
Exactly.
again where the federation can come in and say that, you know what, yes, I mean, this is an idea. And if you tweak it in this fashion, if you do maybe change the objective a little bit, you could make it work for your business. So when you come up with like, say again, like we go back to the Agarbatti example. If I take your ideas, how am I going to implement it in an Agarbatti business? Tweaking it and start modifying it and I start like being more creative about it. So you can pick and choose what other businesses are doing, and then think over it. Not all ideas will work. Not all ideas are good for your business. How can you modify or tweak or like just bring in minor changes?
How to delight the customers?
Can I suggest something for the Agarbatti, customer?
I'm not in that business, so.
Yes. Can I suggest something from promoting, if I can?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. We need to also wrap this conversation up as well. But yes, as a last comment, yes, please do that.
Okay. Now, if somebody is running something like the Agarbatti business, obviously they are people nowadays. The kind of promotion people are doing is that they put blind people and go to shops and say that these blind people are making them, but people are not buying it anymore. Sympathy is not out of the picture when you're selling. You cannot use that a marketing tactic. But what I have understood is that when you're creating brands or when you're promoting something, you have to understand what the customer understands about your product. For example, let's say a cosmetic brand. Now these days, what cosmetic brands have started doing is they're putting in fruit pictures on them. So when they put in fruit pictures on them, people are understanding, oh, it has papaya in it, or it has banana in it. So when they are branding, they are also putting those names on them, So in agarbatti
Yeah.
now fragrances are there. There are a certain number of fragrances, that 4, 5, 6, whatever they're putting into them. So why not, brand those products and promote them according to the fragrances? That, let's say, mogra is there. Mogra is a kind of flower. If somebody understand. So you go and you tell the people about the mogra fragrance, or you give them testers, you know, that they can
Yeah.
understand that this
Ravi, you
fragrance is
raised a
coming.
very interesting.
So
Like
basically,
to kind of as my closing statement, I'd just like to hit on that one point is in marketing, like you should always differentiate between a gimmick and a strategy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
marketing gimmicks works once, twice, maybe three times, but a strategy is for a much longer period of time.
exactly.
yeah.
So
All right.
basically, for a product like agarbatti, like rather developing like marketing techniques, like you have to focus on sales. So better you can make a very good supply chain and distribution system so that it will be visible in the market and people can get your product very easily. So basically, you have to focus on the distribution chain management system for the product like
And
agarbattis and like that.
and I'll add to that one what Pradeep was mentioning before around this around the segment side. So one of the things, because we are talking about agarbatti, so I'm taking my own personal example is that I'm actually allergic to agarbatti. So we don't really light incense at home when we are doing any praying and things like that. So that comes down to these kind of things where we are actually addressing segments in the market of who is the right target audience. So rather than only concentrating on the flavor and the smell of things, it is more about who's the suitable, because the people could be allergic to those kind of things. So if your agarbatti is friendly to people with allergies and things, it's a very important point to highlight in the marketing area, because that's the right kind of target market which will get attracted. If I come to know about any agarbatti that is allergy friendly, I would go and buy it, because currently we don't, because of that reason, and nobody says on their packaging or their marketing that it is, even if it is, no one is saying that. So and I'm not ready to experiment with agarbattis to see whether it is friendly or not. But that's the thing that I think ultimately comes down in marketing. The important part comes down to the segments that you identify and what is the need and importance of that segment. What are they really looking for? And that could be many different things. Some could people could be allergic to mogra flavor, and some people could love that flavor. So just advertising it to everyone the same thing, you might actually miss out on a very big segment, or this way or that way. So it's very important from that angle. Anyway, I think we can have a separate discussion on just the marketing side itself. We can have a separate call on this subject alone, and I'm sure many people would love to join and hear about that. But from Bob, any parting thought from you before we wrap up today?
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Sachin sir. I mean, it was wonderful answering questions and talking to everybody. Last week it was wonderful listening to all these thoughts coming up, and like I mean, it's an amazing platform for all of us, and we should, as we talked about in this call today, like take the best most of it, and to make the most of it, we should all start asking questions. And as we've all heard about it, no question is a dumb question. Just ask, and there'll be people to help respond and give their best to answer that.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bob, and I really appreciate your time and all the inputs that we have received. So thank you for your participation, Ravi and Pradeep. So really good questions, and I'm sure that all the suggestions that Ravi made around how he has implemented his marketing strategy and the inputs from Bob and Pradeep, this recording will be quite valuable for many people. So I encourage people who will be listening to this recording that We are only doing this recording just to highlight the value of these interviews. My intention is not to record these interviews at all because I would like more and more people to join and participate in this discussion. So please don't make a habit of relying on just these recordings because I wouldn't be recording these interviews going forward. So this is only for you to know the value of these conversations. So thank you everyone, and we will be talking to another leader next week, same time, Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. India time. We will be joining another leader, and we will be taking the conversation forward with them as well. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Bob.